Hello everyone, this is part 3 for chapter 10, and it is on Keynesian macroeconomics. In last lecture we were talking about Keynes' point of view on saving and investment, and we compared classical point of views on savings and investment and Keynes' on savings and investments. Today we will talk about wages and prices, the point of views of Keynesian economists on wages and prices, and classical point of views on wages and prices. We said in last chapter إن الclassical macroeconomists said إنه الwages والprices are flexible, while here Keynesian economists say إن الwages والprices are inflexible. So classical flexible wages and prices, while Keynesian inflexible wages and prices. طيب classical people said إن الwages والprices are flexible. Why؟ إيش معنى flexible؟ يعني they change, they can rise or fall according to the status or the state of the economy, and they change to what? To get back the economy to the right structure or position, while Keynesians said or say in the wages cannot be flexible to return the economy to its right place. So the labor market may adjust slowly. In particular, a lower demand for labor may not be met with a declining wage rate. Wage rates might be inflexible downward at least for some time. بتفهم هذا الكلام بالجراف اللي بعد. If wage rates are inflexible downward, then the self-regulating properties of an economy are in question. Specifically, an economy might get stuck in a recessionary gap. طيب هنا إيش معنى الجراف اللي هنا؟ recessionary gap. ليش recessionary gap? Because this is the quantity that we are producing, and this is the quantity that we should produce. So this is a recessionary state of the economy. So what should the economy be like? The supply curve should shift to here, to this place, عند equilibrium عند التو. So the supply should increase or decrease? Of course increase, because it should shift to the right. So how can the supply increase when the wage rate falls? When the wage rate falls, the supply increase لأن الcost بيقل. هذا according to classical people. Classical people said إنه الآن نحن في recessionary gap, the economy is at recessionary gap, so the supply should increase. To increase the supply, we should decrease, or the wage rate should fall down. طيب. But Keynesian people or Keynesian view, wages may be inflexible. الكلاسيكال قالوا wage rate is flexible, so it can move down, it can fall down to increase the supply, while Keynesians said no, wages are inflexible downward. We cannot decrease, or it is not that simple to decrease the wage rate in the economy. So if economy is at point 1, so we are here at point 1. This is the supply and this is the demand. But we should be here, then the supply should increase. It may be stuck there. So the economy will be stuck here. We will not move from this place because the wage rate cannot get less easily. while in classical point of view, no, they said إنه wage rate can get less, then the supply will shift to here, then we will be at equilibrium. وإيش سمينا هذا كل الشيء لما يتحرك supply curve according because of wage rate fell down? We call that self-regulating economy. When wages and prices fall or get up, we call that self-regulating economy. While here in Keynesian macroeconomics, no, there's no such a thing called self-regulating economy. So what should we do? The government should interfere and look for a solution to move the supply to here. So if the economy is in a recessionary gap at point 1, this is recessionary gap, Keynes held that wage rates may not fall. The economy may be stuck in the recessionary gap. But why? Why can't the wage rate fall down? Why? You have here the reasons. So you have wage 1, you have wage 2, and you have the number of buyers. So the labor market and inflexible wages downward. Why? The wages are inflexible to move downward. ليش الwages الأجور مش من السوق، مش يعني من السهل إنه الأجور تنقص في السوق. So we start with D1 and S1. This is S1 and this is D1. This is the demand for laborers, for workers للعمالة, and this is the supply for workers. هنا نقطة التقاطع. This is wage 1 and this is quantity 1. يعني لما كان الويج هنا كم كان ال quantity of laborers, the number of workers supplied and demanded? 100 workers. The equilibrium wage is at W1. The demand for labor declines and the new equilibrium wage rate is at W2. إيش حصل للديماند؟ لسبب من الأسباب الديماند للworkers قل. ما دام الديماند قل يعني the demand curve will shift to the right. طيب it shifted to the right, so the new intersection هنا نقطة التقاطع الجديدة هنا 2. So العدد المطلوب 75 والويج الجديد كم؟ W2. كان هنا الويج rate هنا, then it fell to here, نقص الويج rate. طيب the demand for labor declines and the new equilibrium wage is at W2. Will employers كصاحب انت business كصاحب business will you end up paying W2؟ هل من الضروري انه كصاحب انت business تنقص الأجور العمال اللي عندك لأن الديماند قل والأجور قلت، الإكوليبريم أصبح هنا؟ هل إنه من الضروري أنت بتنقص الويجز على العمال تبعك؟ مش من الضروري. طبعا بالنسبة للكلاسيكال people said yes because the demand decreased so the wages it is necessarily to decrease the wage, but in reality يعني I support this opinion. I support Keynesian's opinion إنه.
So why these economists or Keynesian economists believe that not necessarily to have a decreased wage rate? We have reasons for that. The first one is having long-term labor contracts. يعني for example, if you are a businessman or a business owner, if you have this business and you في البداية وقعوا على contracts على الويج تبعهم تبع العمال اللي معك. طيب مثلا الcontract for مثلا let's say 2 years for example or 3 years. فخلال هذه الفترة الويج ريت قل ولكن انتم اتفقتم على هذا الويج wage 1 مثلا في الساعة مثلا let's say $20. فقل الويج إلى $10. فأنت you cannot decrease it to $10 because you signed a contract, a long-term labor contract. The second reason, fear of declining productivity resulting from lower wages. يعني مثلا حتى لو قل مثلا الويج وتقدر تقلل الويجز، كان 20 الآن أصبح مثلا الإكوليبريم 10، فالمفروض أنت تدفع 10 للليبرز تبعك، بس أنت ما تشيش تدفع لهم 10، خايف أن البرودكتيفيتي تقل تبع العمال تبعك، فبتخليها إيش wage 1 even if you demand less اللي 60. And avoiding having disgruntled workers in the workplace. Disgruntled means angry workers or laborers. فمن الطبيعي إنه لما الwage rate تقلل على العمال even if it is the equilibrium, they will be angry at you, then they will satisfy you. They will not satisfy you in the production, which will cost you a lot later. So we have something called efficiency wage model. This is very important for you if you think to open a business in the future. So efficiency wage model are models that hold it is sometimes in the best interest of business firms to pay their employees higher than equilibrium wage rate. يعني مثلا equilibrium wage rate مثلا 15 الايكوليبريم ويج ريت. This is the equilibrium. بس انت تدفع العمال تبعك مثلا 20 او 25 في الساعة مثلا. الايكوليبريم $15 بس انت تدفع لهم كم؟ مثلا 25. فانت تدفع لهم ايش؟ higher than the equilibrium. Why? Because you think انه it is for your interest, for the business interest, because when you have satisfied employees or workers, they will offer you a satisfying service or productivity. A cut in wages can cause a decline in labor productivity, which in turn raises the firm's cost. This is very logical. إنه لما تقل الويج إيش يسبب هذا؟ negative طبعا results. بيسبب لك decline in labor productivity. الإنتاجية تقل عند laborers, which will increase the costs for the firm. فأحسن لك إنه إيش؟ يا تدفع الإكوليبريم or more, but do not cut them. لأن البعض يعني some people think إنه when we cut wages we will save costs. والعكس صحيح، إنه when you cut wages, yes, you cut costs, but the productivity تقل, and that what leads to increasing costs. So by paying an above equilibrium wage, firms provide an incentive to workers to be productive and do less shirking. Shirking, you took it in microeconomics, among other things. If shirking declines, so do the monitoring management costs of the firm. طيب إيش معنى shirking؟ يعني مثلا الشيركينج لما تشتغل في جروب مثلا وتعتمد على غيرك. الشيركينج يعني تعتمد على غيرك بأداء العمل. So do not be a shirker. So also Keynes and Prices. Keynes said that the internal structure of an economy is not always competitive enough to allow prices to fall. فشوفوا معنا دائما لما يكون الماركت competitive، في تنافس في السوق، في شركات منافسة كثيرة، فهذا إيش؟ that leads to having low prices and prices to fall. While Keynesians think that, or Keynes suggested that, anti-competitive or monopolistic elements in the economy sometimes prevent price from falling. في الشابتر الأول classical people إيش قالوا؟ إن البرايسز لما تكون الإيكونومي في مشكلة، مثلا recessionary gap، prices sometimes should fall down to what? To move the economy to the equilibrium, to the natural what? Real GDP. But Keynesians said إنه prices, it's not that easy to move or to reduce prices in the market or of the economy. ليش؟ لأنه هذا يعتمد على إيش؟ الستركتشر تبع الإيكونومي. إذا الإيكونومي مكوناته competitive firms فهذا صح سهل نسهل إنه prices will fall, then we will reach to long run equilibrium. But if the market structure have or has anti-competitive or monopolistic elements, يعني المنافسة ضعيفة مرة ويكون في سيطرة أو احتكار يعني لبعض الشركات، فبيكون إيش البرايس من الصعب إنه إيش تنزل، لأن السيطرة من قبل بعض الشركات فقط، ما فيش منافسة. فهذا summary classical economists and Keynesians or Keynes about his law holds in a money economy. In other words, all output produced will be demanded, no surplus, no shortage, while Keynesians say may not hold in a money economy. In other words, more output may be produced than will be demanded, ممكن يكون في surplus. Savings, amount saved and interest rate are directly related. Savers save more at higher interest rates and save less at lower interest rates. العامل المؤثر على how much you save is the interest rate, while here we discussed this thing in a net interest rate only. هنا classical economists about investment تكلمنا عليه. About prices, they say they are flexible and wages flexible, while Keynesians say إنه may be inflexible downward, may be inflexible downward.